Hello, Realtors, and welcome to the SCR Update, your go-to source for what's happening in the world of real estate and how it impacts you and your business. This is episode 398, and today is July 6th, and as always, I'm your host, Nick Kremydas, CEO of the South Carolina Realtors. We've got our director, Mike, and editor, Tyler, on the soundboard and video board today. Guys, thank y'all for your help in putting the program together. We're just coming straight off a historic America 250th 4th of July weekend. I hope everyone had a safe, celebratory holiday with family and friends. Today we've got an absolute powerhouse of an episode. So let's jump right in. First up, we're going to discuss a Pew Research Center study highlighting when buying a first home has officially never been harder for under 40-year-old buyers. Then we're going to dive into a battle over industry data. That's right, we're going to track the federal courtroom showdown in Chicago between Zillow, Compass, and MRED that could permanently alter the listing data landscape. And then finally, in our Don't Do That segment this week, we're going to do an in-depth breakdown of the South Carolina Real Estate Commission's latest guidance letter regarding compliance for real estate teams and advertising. So let's dive right into the first headline. So if you felt like the market for first-time home buyers is shrinking, new data shows that you are exactly right. According to a report from the Pew Research Center, first-time buyers plummeted to a record low of just 21% of all buyers in 2025. Even more staggering is that the typical age of a first-time buyer has climbed to an all-time high of 40 years old. To put this in historical perspective, Pew tracked the price-to-income ratio. This is a kind of a standard metric for housing affordability. Back in 1975, a typical home cost about 2.4 times the average under 40-year-old's annual income. By 2019, that 2.5 rose to 2.9. And in 2024, it jumped to 3.5. And nationally, over the last 5 years, home prices have surged more than 30%, much higher in South Carolina, as I'll mention in a second, from roughly $269,000 to $350,000. Meanwhile, median incomes grew by only 9%. So when you couple those skyrocketing prices with elevated interest rates, the math becomes very hard for young families. In 2019, a buyer purchasing a standard home with a 3.5% down payment and a 3.9% mortgage rate looked at a monthly payment of about $1,700. Today, that exact same house with a 6.7% mortgage rate comes out at almost $2,800 a month. That's an extra $1,000 plus out of pocket every single month. Just one reason that explains why the share of adults between 25 and 34 years old has dropped from 40% to just dropped from 40% in 2005 to just 29% in 2024. And while the share of young adults living with their parents jumped to 20%, something that I have some real concerns about. Now, if you think this is just a national problem, let's look closer at home right here in South Carolina. Our latest data shows that home values remain roughly 70% higher than pre-pandemic 2020 levels, while the frantic double-digit price escalations of the early 2020s have finally cooled down to a modest, probably around the 3% annual pace. That massive baseline surge since 2020 is what continues to stretch buyer budgets to the absolute limit across the Palmetto State. It's a stark reminder of why the role of a realtor as a community champion and local market expert and process guide, transaction guide, is now more crucial than ever. So, Mike, let's jump to our second segment today. Let's talk about the Chicago federal courthouse showdown. This is all the real estate industry is watching this courtroom battle. For the last 2 years, our profession has been consumed by commission lawsuits and compensation changes. But just in the last few weeks, a new battle over the control of listing data has come to a dramatic head in a federal courtroom in Chicago. Now, this case centers on a massive three-way proxy war between the portal giant Zillow, the nation's largest residential brokerage Compass, and Midwest Real Estate Data. It's the Chicago area MLS that's better known as MRED. It all stems, or is it MRED, Mike? I don't know. I'm going to go with the MRED. That sounds pretty cool. But this all stems from a move back in May when MRED decided to completely cut off Zillow's access to about 43,000 active property listings. MRED did this because of a controversial Zillow policy that barred any listing from appearing on its platform if it was publicly marketed anywhere else before it hit the MLS. Now, that policy is widely seen as Zillow's direct affront on Compass's aggressive push into private, pre-market, or pocket listings. They've been called all kinds of things online. In court, Zillow has argued that Compass and MRED are essentially trying to build a velvet rope, a walled garden around housing inventory, hurting the transparent access that everyday buyers expect. Now, on the flip side, Compass and MRED have certainly shot back, arguing that Zillow is using its enormous portal reach to dictate exactly how independent brokers market their listings, effectively punishing anyone who doesn't play by Zillow's rules. Now, while the judge hearing technically focused on the immediate fate of 9 very specific Compass listings, the outcome is going to decide much bigger structural questions. Who actually owns and controls listing data? Now, how much power should third parties hold over the market? If the court sides with MLS and Compass, it could open the door for brokerages across the country to pull back data from public portals and double down on company listings. It's a monumental case, and it will be something that we're all watching very closely, and I'm sure won't be resolved anytime soon, but we'll be keeping you up to date on the latest in that lawsuit. So that not so smooth. I'm all tongue-tied today, Mike. I don't know what's going on. I was trying to do a smooth transition into our Don't Do That segment, so I've screwed it up. So let's just jump right into Don't Do That for this week. All right, guys, it is time for Don't Do That. The South Carolina Real Estate Commission just released its latest guidance letter clarifying the strict team naming and advertising rules resulting from recent state license law updates. Now, let's start right out of the gate with the critical date that we're looking at. Now, we've got a long implementation runway, but the hard enforcement deadline is May 15th, 2027. Now, that means you've got a little bit less than a year to transition your marketing, swap out yard signs, rewrite digital templates, and change other corporate entities if necessary. Now, come mid-May next year, the Real Estate Commission is going to be enforcing these rules without any leeway, without any variance. So if you want to keep your business out of a disciplinary hearing, pay close attention, because we are counting down the top things that you can no longer do. So first, do not use the words realty, real estate, or realtors in your team name. The Real Estate Commission guidance emphasizes that a team name cannot imply that the team is a separate standalone entity, brokerage firm, company, etc. So if your team is currently marketing itself as the ABC Realty Group, you need to drop the word realty. It's a violation. It's clear violation under the new statutory guidelines. Make sure that you're not hiding your brokerage firm's identity. This is point number 2 that I want to make with you today. The guidance letter outlines the official rules for how team names must be structured on all marketing materials. Now, your team name must explicitly end with the phrase, your team name, whatever that name is, team at brokerage firm name, right? So whatever your team is, the word at, and then your brokerage firm name. And that's the name that's on the license. It can't be a nickname. It can't be a logo. There's no creative wiggle room here. It must be written exactly like that to ensure consumers know exactly which brokerage is legally supervising the team's activity. Now, the third point I want to leave you with today is don't make your brokerage name microscopic. Now, I've heard the commissioners talk about this. If you have to walk up to a sign and kind of bend over real close to read the company name, is too small. And the guidance letter has a literal font size rule in it. So in all advertising, the full name of your brokerage firm cannot be less than half the size of your team name. So if your team name is on a big billboard and let's say it's in a 60-point font, which would probably be kind of small on a billboard, right, Mike? Your brokerage name must be displayed conspicuously in at least a 30-point font or larger, so half the size of your team name. And finally, don't drown out your brokerage name through frequency. So it's not just about font size. The rules also address repetition. And what I mean by that is the guidance letter states that your brokerage's name must appear on that communication, on that advertising, at least half as many times as the team name. So if you say or print your team name 4 times in a digital brochure, that brokerage name must be visible at least twice. The bottom line here, realtors, is pretty simple. Brokers in charge cannot delegate their supervisory responsibilities to a team leader. The Real Estate Commission is cracking down on this consumer confusion. Come May of 2027 next year, it'll be here before you know it. So audit your websites, your signage, your social media templates today. Take care of that this summer so that you can avoid any problems with the Real Estate Commission next year. All right, Mike, Tyler, thanks again for your help in putting the program together. I think that's going to be a wrap for today's episode of The Update. Make sure to check our show notes. I've included direct links to the Pew affordability data. There's several articles regarding the breakdown of the Zillow versus Compass hearing, and we'll make sure we include a PDF download of the Real Estate Commission's guidance letter. That's posted on the front page of their website. They don't push that information out. You've got to go and find it. But if you Google Real Estate Commission South Carolina, it'll take you straight there. So don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube and Facebook pages, and we'll make sure that, so you make sure that you don't miss out on any of our future updates. So until next week, realtors, protect your data, fix those team names ahead of that May 2027 deadline, stay realtor strong, and have a safe and successful week out there. Thank you, everyone.